Oh, it's pretty good.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, 85th chapter, text number 39. Bale Uvacha Namo Nantaya Brihate Ramakrishnaya Bhejase Samkhya Yoga Pitanaya Brahmane Paramatmane Bariruvacha Namo Nantaya Brihate Ramakrishnaya Bhejase Samkhya Yoga Pitanaya Brahmane Paramatmane Bariruvacha Namo Nantaya Brihate Ramakrishnaya Bhejase Samkhya Yoga Pitanaya Brahmane Paramatmane Nantaya Brihate Ramakrishnaya Bhejase Samkhya Yoga Pitanaya Ramakrishnaya Bhejase Samkhya Yoga Pitanaya Brahmane Paramatmane Bariruvacha Nantaya Brihate Ramakrishnaya Bhejase Samkhya Yoga Pitanaya Brahmane Paramatmane. Vaishnavi Nantaya Brihate Ramakrishnaya Bhejase Samkhya Yoga Pitanaya Brahmane Paramatmane Bariruvacha Namo Krishnaya Vedase Sangha Yoga Pitanaya Brahmane Paramatmane Bhairuvacha Namonandaya Brihate Namo Krishnaya Vedase Sangha Yoga Pitanaya Brahmane Paramatmane Bali Uvacha. Bali said, Nama, obeisances, Anantaya, to Ananta, the unlimited Lord, Brihate, the greatest being, Nama, obeisances, Krishnaya, to Krishna, Vedase, the creator, Sankhya, of Sankhya analysis, yoga, and of mystic yoga. Ambitanaya, the disseminator, Brahmane, the absolute truth, Paramatmane, the supersoul. Translation and purports. King Bali said, obeisances to the unlimited Lord Ananta, the greatest of all beings, and obeisances to Lord Krishna, the creator of the universe, who appears as the impersonal absolute and the supersoul in order to disseminate the principles of Sankhya and Yoga. Everyone can please repeat. King Bali said, obeisances unto the unlimited Lord, the greatest of all beings, and obeisances to Lord Krishna, the creator of the universe, who appears as the impersonal absolute and the supersoul, in order to disseminate the principles of Sankhya and Yoga. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti identifies the Supreme Ananta named here as Lord Balaram, from whom expands the divine serpent Ananta Shesha. Impersonal Brahman is the source of the texts belonging to the Sankhya philosophers, while the personal representation of the Lord, known as Paramatma, disseminates the textbooks of yoga. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Sharakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vichaitanyamano Vishtam Tapitam Yena Bhuttade Ayam Prabhavyam Srati Swapanantikam Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhuttade Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachadine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Bhakti Vishatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radha Shiva Sri Gauravinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So before speaking about this verse, I just wanted to go back just to see the progression of Bali Maharaj receiving the Lord. First of all, in text 37, 36, he offered them elevated seats, washed their feet, etc. And he took that water and put it on his head and everyone else's head. And so this is very significant in the sense that he's the king of the demons. Sometimes we think we have a difficult service. I may have to do this. But imagine being the king of the demons, and being a devotee. Vibhishana had that, but Lord Ramachandra had purified them all. But Bali, he had full-fledged demons. And he was acting as king of the demons. He was conquering the universe. As it says in the verse that was read yesterday, he was so powerful that he and his army overcame Indra. Of course, there's a contrast there, which I wanted to mention. But anyway, because he's a devotee and he has this difficult task, here he gets a chance to purify these demons. And they don't know they're being purified. This is a Vedic custom. Some great personality comes and wash his feet, and then you sprinkle the water. So they thought they're getting some, material blessing. That's what demons want. But he gave them this blessing of being purified by the water, not only of the Lord, just like, of course, he worships Vamanadev, whose lotus feet are bathed by the water which purifies the universe. And it purifies the universe because it touches his lotus feet. But here, Krishna and Balaram. Now, here he washed their feet because this is his duty. He performed his duty. In yesterday's verse, his ecstasy was explained. But before he allowed that ecstasy, or before just like Srila Prabhupada, generally speaking, we could not see visible symptoms that are mentioned in the Shastra of his ecstasy. Although certainly we could see his ecstasy in the sense that, especially here in this temple, when after the whole episode of Juhu and, the big battle, legal battle, physical battle, to secure this property and secure this temple and secure the deities, the devotees said to Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, we're so sorry you had to suffer all of this. And Prabhupada said, oh, it was a good fight. Otherwise, for a devotee, any situation is auspicious if we see how it is connected to Krishna. And so, Krishna Balaram going to the hellish planets, is generally not very auspicious, but it became supremely auspicious if the Lord or his devotee, that devotees, whether they're in the preaching in the heavenly planet, which can be the most difficult preaching. Preaching in hellish planets might not be so bad because people are suffering. When they're suffering, it's like Manigriva and Nalakupara. They could not understand Narada Muni because Narada Muni was, they were so engrossed in Tamagun that they couldn't realize it. And they were also engrossed by their wealth, their heavenly opulence. So they were suffering from hellish condition and heavenly condition. So sometimes preaching to people who are very materially opulent and satisfied is not easy. So, but wherever a devotee is, they're happy in whatever situation. So, and then he actually surrenders. In the next verse it says he offered all of his riches and everything he had. Just like when the four Kumaras came to bless Ritu. He said, I offer you my kingdom. He offered his kingdom. How many, how Prabhupada went to the president at that time, president of India, and went to all these big people. They didn't offer the kingdom. They just said, Swamiji, oh yes, very nice, please go away. Very nice what you're doing, but we're engrossed in politics, so please go away. We'll give you a little something, and you go away. Just like Srila Prabhupada mentioned that sometimes devotees may go to the home of a wealthy person. And this was happening when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur. He sent them to preach in Navadvip. And the wealthy people were thinking, just see, we're greater than Krishna. Krishna can't supply what Krishna can't supply. So we're supplying. So actually, our worship of Chandi or whoever we're worshiping, is greater than worshiping Krishna, because we've got this opulence. Here's the devotees of Krishna. They're just begging in the streets. This is going on and on. The Brahmins were thinking about, what's his name? Can't think of his name. Kolavitra Sridhar. They were thinking, just see, this devotee of Krishna, he's crying all night. He can't, Krishna doesn't even supply him anything to eat. He's crying all night. And he should worship the demigod, then he would be happy. But he's worshiping Krishna. Even when the great debate was going on in Dwarka between those like Rohini, Balaram, even Uddhava, he joined their side. Krishna should go back to Vrindavan. And Rukmini and Satyabhama and others said, no, he shouldn't go. They thought like that. And then Kamsa's mother came and she said, why don't we just pay off the Brajavasis? Let's just pay them. We have a lot of wealth. Obviously, they need money. They couldn't even feed Krishna. And therefore he had to go around and steal from others' houses. And they couldn't even afford to give him shoes. And therefore he had to go around barefoot in the forest. So let's just, we have plenty of money. Let's just pay them. And then we don't have to worry about Krishna. She thought, this is her very limited intelligence, being the mother of the greatest demon around. And so it's very difficult to understand Krishna. But we can understand Krishna as Lord Brahma says, Vedishu Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhaktav. With devotional service, it can become very easy to understand Krishna to some degree. Because to understand Krishna completely, even sometimes he doesn't understand. Just like when he was in Dwarka, just before his appearance, and he saw the reflection of himself in a pillar, and he said, he was actually, wonder how beautiful I am. And then he saw again a reflection in a pond, and he was amazed at his own beauty. Or sometimes Krishna will be meditating. It seems like he's meditating, and he's seeing how wonderful my material energy is. Just see what it's doing. Because, as it says, Parasya Shakya Vibhidaya Vishuyade Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriya Cha, that Krishna's energies, they work independently of him. He doesn't have to, they're so obedient, and Krishna is so powerful and so wonderful, he doesn't have to direct his energies. They know what to do. They're totally submissive to him, even though his Yoga Maya energy sometimes overpowers him. In any government, And in the modern world, they would never allow some secondary, subordinate to overpower them. Well, I was mentioning the other day, sometimes this happens in the level of rasa, this happens. On the level of tattva, it cannot happen. But on the level of rasa, and even we see that in this world, because sometimes a father will be playing with his son, and the son will push him and he falls over backward. And he actually feels that. It's not that he's, let me make my son feel good. He actually becomes overpowered by that love, by that intimacy. And this is what's happening here in this particular verse that we're considering today. I just mentioned yesterday in a wonderful class, the idea of Indra and his armies gives the contrast that here is such a powerful person, but when Krishna comes, he becomes submissive. He gives everything to Krishna. Just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that Manasa Deho Geho, Yo Kicho more. Everything that is mine, I offer to you. My home, my thoughts, my work, karana manasagira, my actions, my thoughts, and my word, everything. Of course, someone like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he realizes that nothing is mine anyway. What do I really have to offer? One time Srila Prabhupada said that the only thing we can renounce is the idea that I have something. Because you actually don't have anything. But we think we have something. And therefore, but actually we don't have anything. And thinking that you have something causes so many problems. And therefore Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says that Arpilo tua pade nandikisho. All as I want in exchange is your lotus feet. I'm offering you what's already yours anyway. So I'm simply a beggar because I just want your lotus feet. But I can't pay for those lotus feet because I don't have anything to give. But I'm giving you everything I have. And just like Sudam Brahman, he defeated Krishna because Krishna was thinking after he left that actually he gave me more than he had because he had to borrow the rice. It wasn't within he had to borrow it. But he defeated me because I can't give more than I have because I have everything. So therefore he has defeated me. So this is the power of devotional service. Krishna becomes so overwhelmed by devotional service. He himself, this loving exchange. Even we become, in this material world, in a perverted way, we become conquered by by even external loving, which are actually lusting, desire, external desire. But people become conquered by that. Man and woman come together, they become like children. Because this is the nature of love. Of course, that love, that fascination goes away very quickly. As it states in the Bhagavatam, that all the relationships in Kali Yuga between man and woman will be based on sense gratification. As soon as I don't get the amount of sense gratification that was in the contract. They feel it's a contract for sense gratification. I will give you, you will give me. And so when the contract is not fulfilled, therefore whenever sometimes young married couples come and being a sannyasi, they ask me, for some blessing. Just like when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going to the house of Advaitacharya to chastise him for teaching yoga and personal yoga. So he stopped at the house of a Brahmin, so-called sannyasi. And so he said, please give me blessing. He said, oh yes, may you have a long, happy life, a very beautiful marriage, and much wealth. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, this sounds like a curse. Otherwise, I want to be a devotee. This is a curse. It's like Daksha when he cursed Narad Muni for 2 times corrupting my son. May you never be happy and be peaceful and have a happy marriage. So he blessed Narada Muni. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Arya Vachasa, when he was in the house of Shiva Thakur doing kirtan, one Brahmin who thought himself a very pakka qualified Brahmin, he wanted to come in, and Shiva said, no, RSVP, only by invitation only, you cannot come. He said, I'm qualified, I'm a Brahmin. You can't come. So he broke his Brahmin thread. He said, may you never have a happy life, happy material life. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, thank you for your blessing. So for a devotee, ultimately, because we believe that we believe that everything that's happening to me, first of all, I understand philosophically, Atmakrita, that it was created by some of my previous actions. Therefore, I can't blame anybody else. Because generally we want to blame, if things don't go well, we blame someone. And if everything goes well, we take the credit. So that's how we generally think. But a devotee understands that anything that's happening to me is Atmakrita. So I deserve it. But Krishna is so merciful that he converts that particular reaction, he minimizes it, just to the point where it will remind me that my only purpose in life is to serve Krishna. There's nothing. So I see it as his mercy. Even Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his same song, he says the same thing. I surrender to your lotus feet because all these difficulties have disappeared. What are those difficulties? Sampade, vipade, jivane, marane, life and death, good fortune, or dangers. All these things have disappeared because I have surrendered to Krishna. So surrendering to Krishna means, that's how we can understand. There's many ways we can measure our degree of surrender. But one of them is, how do I accept what is happening in my life? How do I process it? Just like in the present verse, talking about processing, Sankhya Yoga Vitanaya, Sankhya Brahmane Yoga Paramatmane. So Sankhya Vitanaya, these things are understood by Sankhya, analytical, philosophical understanding or absorption in Brahman. It's generally people who are interested in this, they're absorbed in Brahman. And yoga, Paramatmane, those who practice yoga, they want to achieve Paramatma. Of course, some of them, as it mentions in the second canto, sometimes if one is practicing yoga with some spirit of bhakti, then they can ascend beyond the conception of Paramatma and finally understand Radha and Krishna. But generally speaking, yogis have a sense of well-being. They practice yoga, not like modern yoga societies where they just go to feel good or everybody in my neighborhood is going good exercise to become peaceful or something. But real yogis, they would become happy. No, they want to feel the pleasure of this yoga process, and many times also to have the 8 mystic powers that develop those mystic powers, which means I want to get something from Krishna. But a devotee, the only one thing that the devotee wants from Krishna is pure devotion. And why does he want pure? Because that sounds like, oh, I want to be, on the topmost platform. No, he wants pure devotional service. Srila Prabhupada mentions this, and then that in the beginning of Nectar of Devotion, that this is Kapila Day. He says that the devotee wants pure devotional service because through pure devotional service, I can offer the best service to Krishna. If I don't understand pure devotion, I don't have pure devotion, my service will be faulty. It won't be a haituki. It won't be, unmotivated. I'll want to get something. And it won't be apatyata. It won't be constant. I will want to get something, so there will be interruption. So a devotee doesn't want any interruption. Just pure devotional service. This is the nature of surrender. And surrender, because surrender has that nature, as indicated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that anukulyasya sankalpa, that first of all, in the process of surrender, whatever Krishna wants, that's what I'll do. It doesn't matter if I like it or I don't like it, or if it's agreeable or disagreeable. If that's what Krishna wants, that's what I will do. And patikulyasya bharjana. And whatever Krishna doesn't want, even if I like it or even if I want it, I will give it up. And then rakshishe, rakshishititi vishvaso, that I understand that there's only one protection, not 122, that is not protection. But 108, that is protection. Krishna, that he is my protector. And gopchitve varanam tata, that also he is my master. I don't have a secondary master. Of course, I have spiritual master because he's representing Krishna. And atmanikshepa karpanye, and self-surrender. I must give everything to Krishna. Not 50%, not 90%. As was mentioned yesterday in the class, that this exchange with Krishna, you give Krishna, I'll give you 90%. And just in case, I'll have to have a little reserve just in case something goes wrong in the material world. No, that's not surrender. It's partial surrender, but it's not surrender. It means I'm holding something back. And this is what Krishna actually wants to understand. He wants us to understand, what are you holding back? Because sometimes devotees think, I've done so much for Krishna, why is he giving me this difficulty? I've been doing devotional service for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. Who knows how many lifetimes? So otherwise we're thinking, I'm very special. And why hasn't Krishna realized this? Essentially we're saying that. But when you give 100%, it becomes miraculous. Because when you give 100%, Krishna gives unlimited. Just like it says here in this verse. Bali Maharaj says, Namo Nantaya Brihate. That Ananta, in this case Ananta, is Balaram. He says first he offers his obeisances to Balaram. Just like one time Mukunda offered his obeisance to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and then to Nityananda, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not happy. And he instructed him in a dream. And then the next day, he offered obeisances first to Nityananda. Then, now you have understood. Because his position is, Krishna emphasizes that. When Krishna and Balaram went into the forest, then Krishna said, "Oh, my dear brother, just see all these trees. They are bowing down to you and offering their fruits at your lotus feet." And Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas, they explained, actually they were bowing down to Krishna. Of course, an ordinary person would think, well, they just had a lot of fruit. Because this is the nature of conditioned souls. They want to explain everything according to gravitation, according to material laws. But a devotee sees just the opposite. A devotee sees Krishna's hand everywhere. And so he glorified Balaram. These bees that are buzzing around you, these are the sadhus that worship you eternally. And they have come in the form of bees just to taste the nectar of your lotus feet. And just see the deer with their eyes are so big because they're seeing the beauty, your immense beauty. So Krishna showed us that this Krishna consciousness is a society of respect. And therefore, we should be very careful in our dealings with the Vaishnava. That always respect. Even if you want to bring up something, some aspect, some devotee is doing something, of course, if you're not in a position to instruct, better not to do so. Because, of course, if that devotee has no false ego, then he will accept it. But generally, we all have a little false ego. And if somebody tries to instruct us, just like sometimes I think we've all had the experience that we say something, you say something to someone, "Oh, I know," like or some verse or something. They quote it and you say, "Oh yes, that. Oh yeah, I know." So make sure I know. I understand better. You don't have to tell me anything. So and so is giving the class. Oh, I know better than him. I don't have to go. So I'm on a higher grade of devotional service. What is our pay grade? Our pay grade, dasa anudasa. I will only be happy when the lotus feet of every Vaishnava, and not only every Vaishnava, of every living entity is on my head. Then I can understand I'm on the Uttama Adhikari platform. But I won't even think that. Even though I may be on that platform, I'll think that, no, I don't deserve anything. This is all the credit of my Guru Maharaj. This is the beauty of devotional service. But if we do that artificially, then it also becomes pride. Just like you become very proud of your humility. I'm so humble. I'm very proud of my humility. So, this respect that we have to show to, especially to the Vaishnava, but not only to the Vaishnava. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not say that Vaishnava Amani, or Vaishnava Mani. No. You're not just humble before the Vaishnavas, you're humble before all the living. And Manadena, not Vaishnava Manadena. I show respect to the Vaishnava. I show respect to every living entity. Just like Govinda, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's godbrother servant. He came to give massage to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was blocking the doorway. So he was thinking, what can I do? I must do my service. If I pass over the body of anybody's body, what to speak of the body of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then, it will be an offense. But I'll gladly accept that offense and go to hell to do my service to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu woke up and he saw, Govinda, have you taken prasadam? No. Why? Because my Lord, you were in front of the doorway. I couldn't pass over you. Well, how did you get in? Well, to give you service, I took that risk. But for my own pleasure, my own satisfaction, I would never commit any offense against you. So these examples are there. That's why Chaitanya Charitamrita is so beautiful, because it teaches us how to be a Vaishnava. Of course, all Bhagavad Gita, Advaita Sarva Bhutana, start from the very beginning. You should not envy any living entity. Every instruction is there, but it's in full dimensional manifestation in Chaitanya Charitamrita. In the form, in Bhagavad Gita, it's a sutra form. In Bhagavatam, well, you see different pastimes of devotees and how they surrender to Krishna in different circumstances. But in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's fully blossomed. Vaishnava etiquette, Vaishnava behavior, Vaishnava achar. This is manifested in the fullest degree possible. And then, of course, devotees, our acharyas, they explain it even more and more and more. And there's no end. Just like here, Anantaya Brihate. Here is the original Ananta, and here is who expands himself into this huge Ananta, Ananta Shesha. But he's the original Ananta. You can't judge by size. Just like Brahma, he had difficulty when he saw Krishna playing. When he saw Krishna, manifested before him, explaining, then, he's great. But when he saw Krishna in smaller size, Krishna, he was bewildered. And therefore, when he begins his prayers in the 14th chapter, he says, I will never be bewildered by your form again. This form standing before me with some butter in the hand and a herding stick in the other hand looks very innocent, but I will never be bewildered by it looks very small and innocent, but within that form, everything is contained. So here, the same thing is being said, that, and this is Bali Maharaj. He is a devotee of Vamanadev. And Vamanadev is his worshipful deity. But he sees Vamanadev manifested in a very special form. Now he's seeing Krishna and Balaram as his same Vamanadev. But at the same time, being a devotee, he is inspired to glorify Balaram in a very special way. That you are the origin of Ananta Shesha, who is holding up all the material worlds, who is actually right under my planet. He's very visible right under my planet. And Krishna, he says, Krishnaya Vedase, that I offer my obeisances to Krishna, who is the origin of everything. Now he may see Krishna, this definition of Krishna, as a definition of Vamanadev. But he's actually, Krishna's revealing himself. And this is stated in the Upanishad, that Krishna reserves the right. No one can understand him. No one, Nayam, what is it? Nayam Atma. Nayam Atma. Yes. So we cannot understand Krishna by great by some great understanding or some great revelation. And also, namedaya, nabahuna shutena. We cannot understand him with great intelligence, nor can we understand him by reading many books. We can understand him when he reveals himself. Then we can understand him. So here, Krishna is revealing himself. Just like Anupama. He was, Rupa and Sanatan kept saying, you have to surrender to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You must surrender. And he was trying. He could understand. Here he's Krishna. He's a very special form. But he could not take away his internal feelings for Ramachandra. So he came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he wanted to explain that, I'm sorry, I'm not surrendering to you in the way that my brothers are explaining. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I am that Ramachandra. For you, I am Ramachandra. So, just like Lord Brahma says in the ninth chapter of the third canto, verse number 11, he says, the Lord appears in whatever form that, by his mercy, he appears in whatever form that is desired by the devotee. So this is a very special manifestation that is happening by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And all of this happens because of surrender. And therefore, these six, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained as the first two steps, accepting whatever is favorable for the Lord's service and rejecting what is not favorable. This is the beginning of surrender. If you can't do that, then you won't be able to surrender to Krishna. And Krishna makes surrender very easy. Uddhava, he explains this, that Krishna makes surrender very easy. Just look at Putana, Ahopatiyam, Stana Kala Uttam. She put poison on her breast with the desire that Tikam Sayai, that I want to kill him. Apavayadya. Therefore, I will make him drink this poison. Api asadvi. Asadvi. My desire is evil. Her desire was evil. It wasn't like, even though when she did see Krishna, when she initially saw Krishna, she was amazed at his beauty. But her intention was bad. But leve gatim tatriyushikam. That she achieved the platform of a mother, a nurse, an assistant of Yashoda Mai. She achieved that platform. Who can understand? Kambadayanam sharanam vijana. Therefore, I shall take shelter of this person who makes surrender so easy. If one simply can appreciate him, even if it's for a second. Lord Ramachandra says that. Whoever surrenders to me once, I give them all protection. Whoever surrenders one time. So this surrendering to Krishna, he makes it easy. But you have to do it 100%. That's all. So this is, Bali has done this. He went into ecstasy, but just like Daruka, he was fanning Krishna. And he went into ecstasy. And then he realized, well, the ecstasy, I stopped fanning. So Bali, even though he was putting the lotus feet on his chest and on his head, he couldn't get enough. But he thought, well, this is not the way to worship Krishna, by pleasing myself. Therefore, now let me glorify him. And we see the same. Dhruva Maharaj, Prasad Maharaj, they approached the Lord just seeing his beauty, his majesty, they were overwhelmed with ecstasy. But then they began to offer their prayers and began to offer their service. So also, we should not be just desirous of some ecstasy. We should be desirous of pleasing Krishna. And then we will get real ecstasy. So these are some thoughts on this particular verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. So I'll stop here. Any comments or questions?
You are describing the unlimited mercy of the Lord and God's kindness. In this regard, Krishna comments in this chapter. When Lord Krishna Buddha launched after receiving the launching at the doorstep of the hellish planets. So, as soon as Buddha launched, all the residents of heaven who are subject to Lord of suffering, as soon as they heard the divine sound of the participation, they all went back to life.
Yeah, all the soldiers in Kurukshetra. No? Yeah. Just they got drops of mercy, blood mercy. So.
Yes. We have example, that Govinda, the person servant of Jagannath, he lost all the arms that he was to serve, and he did not come back because he did not to cross the border of Rama. This was the person's gratification. Now, this is very clear. Service and sensitivity. What happens in a lot of cases, there is a lot of conditions also. So, it's very difficult to differentiate between service and sensitivity. Sometimes service involves a lot of consumer prestige, which is incredible. But it is intertwined with service. So how do I understand which is service and which is sensitivity?
Of course, we understand that by hearing. No. Otherwise, but of course, Srila Prabhupada said, when in doubt, better not to do. No. And he said that. Whenever there's a doubt, should I do this, should I not do this? No. If you think that this may be offensive or this may, no, then better not to do it. We're not on the platform of Govinda also where we can risk going to hell. We're not on the platform of the gopis that we're ready to go to hell just to give the dust of our feet to Krishna. We're not on that platform. We're not on the platform of this degree of risk, Queen Kunti. We're not on that platform. Give me more misery. Even we have enough trouble processing the misery that we have to deal with. So we're not on that platform. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada said again and again, this is a gradual process. So we don't begin to imagine that I'm on some elevated platform that I'm not on. Gradual process. Hare Krishna. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, for conditioned souls, eating food is just meditation. For devotee, that is service to the Prasad. So why does that?
Why what?
For conditioned souls, they take pleasure, self-gratification, and eating. But for devotee, this is like only Prasad, Prasad. Therefore, Krishna is Prasad.
I'm sorry, just because of the echo. No, it's not because of him, it's because of my hearing problem.
He's asking that for the conditioned soul, eating gives a sense gratification.
Yeah.
And for the pure devotee, he receives that by honoring prasadam. He serves prasadam.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
so why Govinda did go and went to go for the prasadam and approach Mahaprabhu? Why he did that?
Well, because even though, of course, taking prasadam is a spiritual activity, but there is some degree of enjoying that. There's some degree of enjoyment, and therefore, of course, it depends on even in any case when we're taking prasadam. Just like I had the privilege of seeing Prabhupada taking prasadam, and he would, especially in the beginning, he would take it and look, you could see he was meditating, here is Krishna. It wasn't like we, enthusiastically, but he took it and went like that. Then he would eat regularly, but it was like that meditation was there in the beginning. So sometimes we may be taking prasadam, but just like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when they took his remnants, he would take a handful of salt, put it in and mix it all together. So the devotees would realize that you want maha? No, I want the rasgulla maha, but not the rice maha. So then we're thinking about, even though it's prasad, we're thinking about my pleasure. So therefore he would mix a little salt in, mix it all together. So you want maha, then you get the right kind of, you take the mercy. You should want the mercy. So if we take prasadam with that mentality, then it's first class. But prasadam, generally speaking, for most devotees, either prasadam or experiencing a blissful kirtan is the first experience of rasa. It's actually, even though it may be mixed, there's a mixture. It was like the first time I remember when first time I took prasadam, I was overwhelmed. Because I was like, a false renunciant, just eating fruits and nuts only. And so devotees had sweets and all these things. That's not good for the body. Then they finally convinced me to take a samosa. And whoever made that samosa was really good. I ate like about 15 samosas. Practically, my stomach was hurting so much because I was used to eating only fruits. So we get rasa. But then that's not the highest rasa. We will elevate our understanding of rasa as we advance in devotion. So I think one more question, and our time will be up.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for the presentation. Maharaj, we see your personal example that how you are following very lot of responsibilities, which other parts of recently, after the departure of Krishna, you got responsibility in India and his own. So we see how you have taken this responsibility and then take up the responsibility. When we see other place and responsibility, so that becomes very difficult. More challenges comes. We need to handle the thought whether they can take or not. What Maharaj you can share that help you on how to maintain such a proposal that you understand?
Just like in eating, you can't just take vitamins, or you can't just take carbohydrates. You have to have a balance. So we accept more responsibility, but we shouldn't accept so much that we don't get nutrition. The nutrition, just like in the Bhagavatam, it says that, what's that verse? I think Bhaktir Parishanubhava Virakti. That first, you should get bhakti, you should get some taste of bhakti. Then you get the nutrition of philosophical understanding, and then you'll be able to practice some renunciation. So accepting responsibility is a certain degree of renunciation. And if you just accept more and more responsibilities and you're not getting the taste from sufficient hearing and chanting, therefore Srila Prabhupada said, if my disciples don't read my books, they will fall down. And many devotees did that. They just accepted more and more responsibilities. And if you're not hearing and chanting properly, then, even though it's service, it can become too much. And especially many devotees, because they would see the degree of sacrifice of Srila Prabhupada. So very sincerely, they just tried to do more, and they weren't hearing and chanting enough. And of course, by their sincere service, maybe they got Guru Kripa, or Kripa Siddhi, or partial Siddhi, a special, because there were some devotees that did great sacrifices for Prabhupada, and then they had some difficulties. And Prabhupada said, Krishna will bless them. So, but we shouldn't, as Srila Prabhupada said, we shouldn't expect to get an honorary degree. Speaking about Kripa Siddhi, it's honorary degree, it's special. You should think, let me get the proper degree by study, hearing and chanting, and a proper balance in our spiritual life. Hare Krishna. So thank you all very much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Jai Gaur Premanande, Shri Radha Rasa Bihari ki jai.